I have to be honest, I genuinely cannot remember the last time the world of professional golf felt quite this chaotic, unpredictable, and downright fascinating all at the exact same moment. Today, two completely separate and wildly different narratives are exploding across the PGA Tour landscape, and each one carries the potential to tell us something profound about where this sport is truly headed in the coming years. One story centers on a massive, larger-than-life personality who could once again dramatically reshape the power dynamics between LIV golf and the PGA Tour. The other is a heartfelt, classic underdog triumph, the exact type of moment that captures the magic, the heartbreak, and the pure joy that made so many of us fall head over heels in love with golf in the first place. What makes this day so incredibly compelling is how these two stories stir such contrasting emotions in fans. One feels tense, uncertain, politically charged, and maybe even a little uncomfortable for people deeply embedded in the traditional PGA Tour ecosystem. The other feels uplifting, inspiring, and like the beautiful arrival of something fresh and genuinely promising. If you're a true, die-hard PGA Tour follower who lives and breathes this game, today is absolutely one of those days you cannot afford to miss or ignore. Before we jump deep into both of these blockbuster developments, I want to ask a quick favor. If you're enjoying this kind of honest, in-depth coverage, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help us push toward our first 10,000 subscribers. This is the perfect place for anyone who wants to stay locked into all the drama, the world rankings, the major championships, the behind-the-scenes power plays, and every twist and turn happening across professional golf week after week. Let's begin with the biggest and most far-reaching story right now. Bryson DeChambeau dropped some comments recently that honestly have the power to completely reshape the ongoing conversation surrounding LIV golf and the PGA Tour over the next several months. In essence, Bryson suggested that any potential return to the PGA Tour might no longer rest solely in the hands of executives and league officials. According to him, the real deciding factor could be something far more human and personal: whether the current PGA Tour players actually want him and other defectors back in the fold. That single perspective elevates this entire saga way beyond dry contract negotiations, financial packages, or corporate boardroom decisions. For years now, the bitter divide between LIV golf and the PGA Tour has felt intensely personal. It has split fan bases, created heated online arguments, forced players to pick sides, damaged friendships, and altered reputations almost overnight. Now, with several key LIV contracts set to expire and fresh reports indicating that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund plans to stop bankrolling LIV golf after the 2026 season, we suddenly find ourselves inching closer to a major crossroads. Bryson's own agreement with LIV runs out later this year, placing him squarely at the center of the storm. He openly admitted he was stunned by the funding news, especially because LIV leadership had previously assured players that the league was rock solid and financially secure all the way through 2032. You can sense him carefully navigating these uncertain waters right now. He's not launching attacks at the PGA Tour, nor is he blindly pledging long-term loyalty to LIV. Instead, he's standing thoughtfully in the middle, trying to read the room and understand what the future structure of professional golf might actually look like. In a recent conversation, Bryson expressed his belief that any problem in this sport can ultimately be solved. However, he was quick to point out that the largest obstacle is Jay Monahan, Brian Rollap, or any other executive. It's whether the players currently competing on the PGA Tour would truly welcome him back with open arms. That level of self-awareness is fascinating, because it acknowledges that this situation runs much deeper than legal documents and signatures. Some players may still carry resentment from the original departures, feeling that the move to LIV damaged the fabric of the game they love. Others are simply exhausted by the endless division and desperately want to see golf unified again so fans can enjoy the best players competing against each other on a regular basis. And let's be completely real for a second. From a pure entertainment and business standpoint, the PGA Tour has undeniably missed dynamic figures like Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Cameron Smith, and Brooks Koepka. Bryson in particular brings enormous crowds, jaw-dropping distance, natural drama, a larger-than-life personality, and one of the biggest global followings in the entire sport. His presence alone moves the needle. Adding another intriguing layer, Bryson made it very clear this week that if he chooses not to renew with LIV, he intends to pour serious energy into massively growing his YouTube channel, which already boasts more than 2.6 million subscribers. He has built impressive relationships and created content alongside huge names like Donald Trump, Carlos Alcaraz, Stephen Curry, Grant Horvat, Garrett Clark, and many others. In many ways, Bryson might be the first modern golfer who fully understands how media consumption and audience building are evolving in today's world. He isn't just focused on playing tournament rounds anymore. He's thinking strategically about reach, entertainment value, digital content, fan engagement, and expanding the game's popularity on a global scale. Things became even more interesting when he openly criticized the PGA Tour's current social media and content creation policies. He revealed that while he was still a PGA Tour member, he repeatedly asked for permission to film YouTube videos during tournament weeks and was consistently turned down. He also pointed out situations where creators like Grant Horvat and Garrett Clark faced restrictions that he believes shouldn't apply. The PGA Tour has responded by explaining that non-members and members operate under different guidelines, and that players are indeed permitted to create content during practice rounds and pro-am events under existing rules. Nevertheless, this debate matters deeply because Bryson views content creation as a genuine way to grow the sport rather than harm it. He argues passionately that filming videos around tournaments should add excitement and value to the events, not take away from them. A large portion of younger golf fans seem to agree with this mindset. This tension perfectly illustrates the crossroads professional golf finds itself at today, the clash between long-standing traditional structures and the fast-moving, creator-driven, entertainment-focused future. On the other side of the equation, LIV Golf CEO Scott O'Neill recently spoke publicly about Bryson in very glowing terms. He described him as a special talent, highlighted how deeply involved Bryson is in discussions about the league's future business direction, and praised his intelligence, dedication, and overall value as a partner. Those comments certainly don't sound like a league that is eager to lose one of its biggest stars. We also cannot ignore the majors picture. Bryson's victory at the 2023 U.S. Open grants him exemption into that event until 2033, but his current guaranteed entries for the Masters, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship are only locked in through 2028. After that, everything from world ranking points to tour access and eligibility becomes critically important again. That ticking clock is exactly why these conversations suddenly feel so urgent and time-sensitive. When you mix all of this with reports that PGA Tour leadership, including Brian Rollap, is actively exploring ways to bring big-name stars back through the returning members program, something Brooks Koepka has already taken advantage of earlier this year, it becomes crystal clear that professional golf is approaching yet another massive turning point in its history. Now let's switch gears to the second incredible story dominating the headlines today. What an unforgettable breakthrough for young Norwegian star Christopher Wright. This is precisely the kind of victory that beautifully reminds us why professional golf can be both brutally punishing and incredibly rewarding at the same time. The rookie sensation captured his very first PGA Tour title at the Truist Championship in North Carolina, finishing the tournament at 15 under par and holding off both Ricky Fowler and Nicolai Hjortgaard by a comfortable 2-shot margin. The most impressive part of the entire performance was how remarkably calm and composed Wright remained while absolute mayhem was breaking loose all around him on a dramatic Sunday afternoon. Alex Fitzpatrick entered the final round with the lead. Ricky Fowler suddenly caught fire and went on a tear with a blazing front nine. Nicolai Hjortgaard was mounting a serious charge from behind. For a large portion of the day, it genuinely felt like any one of 4 or 5 players could walk away with the trophy. Yet Christopher Wright never let the chaos rattle him emotionally. That mental strength from a young player still trying to prove himself at the highest level was truly special to watch. The pivotal moment arrived on the 15th hole, a par 5, where Wright delivered a clutch 2-putt birdie while Fitzpatrick's momentum completely vanished after his wedge shot buried deep in thick rough, forcing a messy scramble just to make par. From that point forward, things began to unravel quickly for the chasers. Nicolai Hjortgaard dropped a bogey on the 16th. Alex Fitzpatrick imploded on the 17th with a disastrous double bogey after yet another costly mistake in the rough. Suddenly, the tournament belonged to Wright. He still had to navigate the punishing Green Mile finishing stretch, those closing holes that have destroyed so many dreams before. But he stayed ice cold, played those final 3 holes in even par, made a solid par on the 18th, and walked off with the biggest win of his young career. This victory is truly life-changing. It's not just a personal triumph for Christopher. It represents a massive milestone for Norwegian golf as a whole. He made the bold choice to pursue golf over soccer in his youth, has already secured 2 wins on the European Tour, came agonizingly close to victory at the Zurich Classic alongside Chris Ventura, and now stands as an official PGA Tour winner. That single achievement completely shifts expectations, opportunities, and confidence levels. We also have to take a moment to appreciate Ricky Fowler. Even though he didn't win, watching him surge back into serious contention was special for longtime fans. Starting the final round 7 shots back, he fired a brilliant 65 and briefly seized the lead. You could feel the electricity in the crowd and see the emotion from people who have been rooting for his return to elite form. That missed 6-foot birdie putt on the 16th ultimately opened the door for Wright, but this was still one of Ricky's strongest and most encouraging performances in quite some time. For Christopher Wright, this kind of breakthrough win has the power to launch an entire career into the stratosphere. First-time PGA Tour victories change how other players view you. They change how you view yourself. Suddenly, conversations shift toward whether he can contend in major championships, make deep runs in the FedEx Cup playoffs, and maybe even earn consideration for future Ryder Cup teams. When you look at both stories side by side, the contrast is striking and perfectly captures the current state of golf in 2026. On one hand, you have Bryson DeChambeau embodying the uncertainty, the lingering divisions, the high-stakes business battles, the evolution of media, and the complicated road ahead for professional golf. On the other hand, you have Christopher Wright representing the pure, dream-chasing soul of the game, a hungry young rookie who stayed composed under pressure and finally broke through on golf's biggest stage. That fascinating mix of tension and inspiration is exactly why this PGA Tour season feels so addictive and impossible to stop watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you believe Bryson DeChambeau should make his way back to the PGA Tour? And just how high do you think Christopher Wright's ceiling can reach after this impressive victory? Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to PGA Tour Today, and help us grow toward that 10,000 subscriber milestone. If you're the type of golf fan who craves real conversations, authentic reactions, and staying ahead of every major development across the PGA Tour each and every week, then you're exactly where you belong.